That's a sorrow beat.
Max Million.
You see, I started as a church boy. Always had that hope, boy. No worries about my life, cause I stayed with that joy. This world I wasn't ready for. Imagine that. At 13, hit the ground, running fast. Shawty in my lap, what you know about that? Hoes getting deeper, seeing getting stronger.
IIce. What's going on, Jay? Salute, man. Pleasure having you. We've been talking about so much off camera. Now I'm just like, what I'm gonna ask you, right? Oh man, you done gave me so much game off camera. Like, I think people need to know the value that you bring, and so just thank you for being here, bro.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me. Again, as I said when I walked in, great spot, great space. I feel comfortable. I'm at home, so I'm good, man. I'm enjoying everything, bro.
That's good, man. That's good. It's been 20 years doing music.
Wow.
For you. I think the last time we had a conversation, I think we was at Brother Zoe's event, and you shared that with me, man. When you think back on music, and people are sitting on their phones looking at this right now, then you think about where you are in film. For the people who don't know you, who are you, man? Who would you say you are, man?
Oh man, in the music game, everybody knows me as IIce. In the film industry, it's a mixture. It's Idris and it's IIce. So, but formerly, I'm Idris Pearson, born and raised here in Columbia, South Carolina. As we said before, I did 20 years in music. I did mainstream, then converted to CHH, and then converted into film about 8 years ago. In 2013, we filmed our first project that came out in 2014.
Yeah.
And that was the Are You In or Out project with AC The Future and Chris Darnell. And we had a great time filming that and kind of fell into the film process. And music for me is like, it's hereditary because all my family did music. So I've always had a love for music and always had a passion for it. So when I did it, I tried my best to be as good as I thought I could be.
Yeah.
When I did it mainstream, I released projects. Back then we had consignment, so we could put it in manifest off Bush River. So I'm showing my age a little bit. I was able to. It sold pretty good, so people liked it. People listened to it. People liked it.
Yeah, I think when I met you, you were actually shooting a film, and I'm like, I was.
Yeah.
And I think you're the first person I ever met that was. It wasn't like, no, I'm doing a video. It was, I'm shooting a movie.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Which is crazy to me, man. Yeah.
It's still crazy to me now, man. Thinking about that time, and I was going through a lot personally. Many may or may not know I'm on my second marriage. So at that time, when we were filming the Are You In or Out, I was going through the separation of my first marriage.
Right.
So going through that process and filming a movie at the same time can be very stressful. But we did it and kind of fell into the film industry because I think Chris and I was talking, and we was like, man, we want to do a movie. I was like, man, I don't even know when to start. I was like, I just started writing. So started writing the project. Of course, it wasn't in the real script format, just the way that I thought it would look. We went through it. We wrote it. Got with VA. She filmed it for us, and pretty much the rest is history. Yeah. So, I think now looking back over it, there's a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of things that I would have done better. But again, it's the first project. So your first project is always your test project to see if you can actually capture what you think you can do. And ever since then, you know, we started doing everything else, and I'm here now, and we talking about me doing film 8 years later.
No question, man. I mean, because, you know, the fact that it was your friends then, but now I can say our friends.
Right, I agree.
Right? You know, like it was the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's probably what I admire most about just the way that you were going about it.
Yeah.
You know, and so tell me about like just what gave you the unction to say that these people can act, and this is about to be my first project, and I'm just gonna go with it. All right, let's go. How you do that?
It wasn't. I don't think it was the point of can they act. I think it was the point of, yo, I want to do this, guys. I think we can do it. I think we can make it look good. So let's do it. And I want you to play this person. I want you to play that person. You should play this person. I actually wasn't supposed to be in the project. I had actually a friend of mine was supposed to, one of my best friends I've known for 30 years. He was supposed to play the part that I was going to play, but something came up where he couldn't do it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. And so that was everything that we did was a first. And we did what we could do with what we could with what we had. So I know they probably look back on it and be like, man, this is what it is. You know, we had a great time, and so it's still on. It's on YouTube now, and I think we're like at 4,500 views.
Yeah.
You know, which is great to be independently shot.
Independent film. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Really not have any marketing or promoting. And I think it's doing pretty good, you know what I mean? And of course now people are gonna go look at it even more and say, hey, let's go look at this film, Are You In or Out? Which is on YouTube. It's a short film, so check it out.
Yeah, so I know with music, you know, we talk about this all the time as artists, how important it is for you to have relationships with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And be in relationship with people so that you can market and promote your music.
Right.
Is it the same way in film? Like you gotta make sure you know the right people, you know, like you got to get content. How do you go about, how do you strategize a film's marketing? I know you got to get funding.
Mm-hmm. That's number. Of course, funding for everything is number one.
Number one.
Right.
Right.
But you also have to understand who you have in your cast. So does the person that you have casted, how big is their following? So their following may be larger than yours. So now their following becomes your following, and so on and so forth. So if we have a cast of 8 people and each person have 5,000 followers for an IG, their followers have now become the other cast members' followers, and now everybody's followers are going up. So we double followers just off of who you know.
Who you know, yeah. So just like anything that's going on right now, Power, Married at First Sight, all these people that we get to know intimately, they end up being available for us to follow in real life. And, you know, they tell their so it's just like that. Yeah, because like I'm thinking about how I didn't know who Tommy was before Power.
Right.
You know, I didn't know who Tasha was. Then when I seen Tasha in another movie, I'm like, I don't care. She's always gonna be Tasha.
Right.
and no matter what.
It's crazy because like I say that about Danny Glover, and the reason why any character that you look at as that character for the rest of their career, it's because they've made such an impact on you as that character that you can't see them as nothing else. So Danny Glover for me is that person. Danny Glover has played in many movies. He's done great projects. He's been in comedies. He's been in very serious roles. You know what I'm saying? But I always see Danny Glover as Mr. from Color Purple. And that is always who I see him as. I don't see, anytime I see Danny Glover in a project, look at Mr. in there. That's all I see. That's it. So, and that's why anytime I work with actors, I tell them to leave that impact. For instance, the short film I did recently that we released in 2019 called Forgiveness, which is on YouTube as well. Rod Lorick plays the main character by the name of Major, and a lot of people despises Rod character in the first half of the movie until they see his journey and his process. So it's all about how you touch that person. And one other thing is what people see in real life as well. A lot of things is I try to be very authentic with anything that I do. So when I write, I'm researching, because I'm not just going to give you something that is not real or doesn't seem real to you. So if I know someone that's in the field that I'm writing about, I call them, hey, I'm going to be calling you a lot while I'm writing. What about this? How does this work? Does this line up? I read the scene. Yeah, that lines up. That's cool. No, that doesn't line up. They wouldn't do this. So I do my research.
Right.
And I think that, and that's just like anybody that we work with, you know, anybody that does anything. When you do music, you have to go back and listen, especially hip hop. You have to go back and listen to the forefathers and listen to where it was then and where it is now.
Yeah.
Understand that the generation that's after us is not going to be on the same path as we were, because they have so many other things, especially technology now is through the roof. So their music is going to go further. Like now it's better to be an independent artist than to be signed to a label, because you can do everything yourself just sitting in front of your computer.
Yeah. You know, with the rise and I guess just the increase in the need of content now, you know what I mean? Like, I think, isn't this, what a time to be a filmmaker, right?
This is, honestly, this last year, for me, COVID was a blessing because, number one, it made me sit down and really work on my craft and become better at what I do. But it's also a blessing for anybody in media because, of course, Zoom is one of the hugest platforms now. And you knew about Zoom 2 years ago, but when the pandemic happened, Zoom became everything because that's pretty much all you can use to work, or pretty much all you can use to make things happen. A lot of things on streaming, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, now the TikTok phase, the TikTok phase that's going on now. All those things coincide with each other because everybody had to change the game from corporate to churches. Everybody had to understand, like, okay, this is what we need to do to get to people or make people understand that we're still here. And filming, it helped independence because now independent filmmakers can go to these streaming platforms such as Tubi, Crackle, and get or even Amazon Prime to get their projects on and get views, and then people see it because all those things are worldwide projects, you know. So now, especially Amazon Prime, where you get these streams, and then somebody come across your movie, they watch it, and like, oh, it's good. You know, I'm gonna share it, and then next thing you know, there's a full-length film about it that's on HBO Max that you trying to figure out how it got there, and it's just that filmmaker, just at that moment, they put this project out at the right time, and then it created a huge want and demand for it.
Yeah, the applications that you're talking about, they're for creatives to be able to share and I guess get paid too, right? Because it's kind of like Fiverr. You need somebody to do the job,
right?
Right.
Right. Definitely.
So like, because somebody told me, like, when I first started trying to navigate the production side of the media space, they were like, man, you're an artist. I don't want to, take you away from what you really do, because if you'll get caught up in this.
Right.
How real was that for you, man?
I haven't released it. I've been, it's funny. I have a project that I've been working on for the last, 3 years. That's literally sitting. Like I've recorded 4 or 5 songs.
Yeah.
And they're just literally sitting there because film has pretty much consumed everything. Like it's crazy. I can write a 5 to 10 page script faster than I can write a 3-verse song. And a 3-verse song, just 3 verses, you know what I mean? With a 5 to 10 page script, you got maybe 4 or 5 characters, you got what they're doing, what they're saying, and I can dive into that faster than I can write than music. And it's crazy because because I thought I would be able to juggle the two. I'm like, okay, if I can master script writing or screenplay writing, I can jump back into songwriting very easily. And it's like now I see screenplay writing as a song, but I'm able to expand more on what the song, what instead of me saying something, I can expand and say, okay, let me give this a character and show you what the song is talking about, other than really tell you what the song is talking about.
Got you.
And it's a whirlwind. It's like you get tunnel vision and all you see is, let me make this film. Let me make this film. Let me make this film. Let me do this. Let me make this project. Let me write this out. Let me create this character. Oh, let me call this person to see if they can do it. Or there's a huge. There's so many of them, but one that I use now is called Actors Access to get cast. Yeah. And so I put it out there, and then you see hundreds of people wanting to audition for one person, and it's like, okay, so now you go through, choose who you want to choose, then you go through the auditions, and it see so many people, meet so many people, and see the passion and hunger that people have for this industry. And it's still the entertainment industry, and it's still the artist, the director, the cinematographer, the writer, the editor, everyone that's behind the scenes or in front of the camera, they're all artists, and their art is so different in so many ways. But without anybody in any of their positions, it's not going to get finished. Yeah. And I tell a lot of actors that may not have gotten the role they wanted. They may get a small role, but that small role is sometimes the largest role. And without that small role, some of the plot can't happen. So any actors that are listening to me now, if you take a small role, don't look at it as a small role. Look at it as a large role, because without your role, nothing happens. Without extras in the background, you just have 2 or 3 people in a restaurant. So everybody matters, you know what I mean? From the lead actor to who's ever cleaning up after everybody. Everyone matters. And that's because that's everyone's art.
Yeah, man. Even with just the jobs, like you know how producers are, right? Mm-hmm. And when I say producers, I mean like people who actually make dope beats.
Right.
Like just take it for example, Jetson made another one.
Mm-hmm.
All he had to do was make that one record for that one artist that one time, and that's it.
That's it.
But we're not going to pretend like Jetson wasn't making beats before he made that one record.
Right.
And I'm thinking in my head, the film business is a lot like that.
Definitely, it is. It is. It definitely is. Think about the guy that did the the Fresh Prince in a drama role that came out a few years ago. Michael Cooper is his name, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
And so you think now they're about to make a series out of a trailer that he just wanted to do. You know what I mean? You think about Ryan Coogler he did short films at first.
He did Fruitvale Station.
Right. But there was time he did short films before Fruitvale Station. And then so when he did Fruitvale Station, it did well. But then the next thing you know, he's directing Creed.
Which is a whole different budget, and you can see the budget.
Right, you can see the budget. You can see, and then and went from Creed to Black Panther,
which is a whole another type of budget from what was happening digitally,
bro.
From the beginning of the movie, the graphic design that went into that money
alone.
Just getting us to the scenes.
Man, but what we see in front on the TV screen or the theater is the smallest piece. Everybody behind the scenes, like on those larger budgets, on those high budget films,
the green screen.
You know what I'm saying? They got the green screens, but if you want coffee, you can't just go get coffee. You know what I'm saying? They have somebody to go get you coffee and bring it to you. Or they have somebody to fix the coffee, bring it to the person that gets the coffee to bring it to you. Or it's so many small pieces that people get paid for. So when these high budget films get it, it's actually a plus because so many people get jobs.
Yeah.
You gotta think there are people that put up lights. There are people that take down lights. There are people that holds the boom mic. There's people that engineers the sound. There's people there are more than one camera operators. Then you have the green screen operators. Then you have it's so many small pieces behind the scene just for us to see what's in front of it. And then when we see it, it's like, yo, this is amazing. But then when you're on a set and you see how these guys move, and it's like, and again, like I said, the smallest person is like one of the biggest people. Because if it's one person, and it may have been a marketing tool, but when we think about Game of Thrones with the Starbucks cup sitting in there, right?
Right.
One person failed on their job. There's one person to make sure that doesn't happen. And so, and if it's a marketing scheme, they did a heck of a job, and Starbucks went up. You know what I'm saying?
I seen that on the internet, and I was like, man,
it's crazy.
The level of error that is. Because when the internet brings it out, because I watched that whole thing, and I'm like, I did not see that. I was so engulfed by the production itself.
Right.
That really didn't matter. You know what I mean? Man, but yeah, that's huge.
And see, even now, like I have to turn off. I'm learning how to turn off writer and director mode, right? Because my wife hates it. Like if I walk in on a film that she's watching, and I don't know she's watching an independent film, and I see something that's off, I'm like, yo, that lighting is off on that scene. And she will tell me quickly, get out of here. And like, it's funny because I'm being trained to notice the small things about a scene, like even to a person's makeup, where if you watching the film and you see their face and it's kind of gold, especially for a dark tone, if their face is kind of gold, it's two things: the makeup, the lighting wasn't right, and then the color grading was off. So like I know those that watch may not see it, and you probably go look at stuff now and be like, yo, that's crazy. But I noticed the smallest things where, like in like the largest movies, like we talking about high budget movies, right? And the movie that Michael B. and Jamie Foxx did about the guy that went to prison, you know what I mean? I can't think of the name of the movie. Is it Just You?
When he had the flat top.
Right.
He had the flat top. Yeah.
So there's a scene, and those that are watching, forgive me, but there's a scene where Jamie Foxx's son it's being arrested in the courtroom.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this in the movie theater. As they're bringing him back up, one of his cuffs aren't done. You know what I'm saying? And it's very small and minimal, but it also is nothing is perfect. Nothing from independent to large $20 million budget films. There isn't anything perfect. There's always a mistake. It's just that the editor did such a great job for you not to notice that mistake that it seems perfect. But there's always a mishap
in
everything. You know what I'm saying? And I try my best to make things perfect on set, but it never will be. There never will be. There'll be something that I miss. There's something that any filmmaker will miss. But it's a learning tool as well. So you never lose. You always learn. So anything that I've messed up, anything that I've made a mistake on in previous projects, I guarantee on the next one it will not happen because I'm going to remember that I made that mistake and I will not make that mistake again.
Right. That's a fact. And you said the most important thing is just funding, and the relationship piece of it. Because I know Ryan Coogler. You know, I'm really trying to ask you about because they say you aspire to be, or you look up to somebody who you're trying to be, or who you might want to work with. Do you because as an MC, I pulled off of Mace and Jay-Z and DMX, but then I put a little Cam in there,
Right.
and I put a little Jewels in there, and then next thing I knew,
You have you.
I got me, but underneath that was Biggie Smalls, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
and a little bit of Tupac when I talk,
Right.
Like, what's your melting pot of director, or maybe melting pot of writer? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you always have to go to. My number one is always Spike Lee, because Spike Lee is one of the dopest directors to me personally. One of the dopest directors, one of the dopest writers, because he can make a story that's just so authentic, and it's like, yo, like for instance, Crooklyn, like those people that grew up in New York understand sitting on the stoop. You know what I'm saying? And seeing that, you know what I'm saying? So like, definitely, Spike is number one.
Yeah.
And if anybody that's in film, go watch his masterclass. There's so many nuggets in there. But then you also got to think another thing, because I pull from a lot of people. Quentin Tarantino is another one for me. And Tarantino has this thing in film that everybody uses, but I remember seeing it first, and it's the movie where he comes in, he tells you the end of the story at the beginning, and then rewinds it and tells you the whole story. And it's one movie that he told the whole story backwards, which is Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is told backwards. So you can watch Pulp Fiction backwards and watch the beginning of it to the end. Pulp Fiction is told from the end to the beginning. So definitely Tarantino. Then you have your legends: Spielberg, Hitchcock, Scorsese. The guys, even Denzel has such a great directing style that people don't really get to see because they see him in front of the camera a lot. But Denzel is one of them. Of course, Ryan Coogler.
His style, it's just
everybody's style is different, and then understand there's a guy named John Bradham. He's a director as well, but I have his audio book, and the nuggets that he dropped on different things, man, it's so just learning different things from everybody. Like actors have to learn to trust you, and you have to trust them, because like I said, this is art. So what I see, an actor may not see, or they see it differently. It's not they don't want to see it. They see it differently than I see it. And then so we come together, we try both ways, whichever way is better, we're gonna go with the best looking one. So and that's trust factor, allowing an actor to be an artist, is huge. So like getting those, and that's one of those Spike Lee traits, because like with Jungle Fever, and Spike didn't know this until after the film. Samuel Jackson had not too long got out of rehab, and then had to turn around and play a crackhead. So Halle Berry had to play a crackhead too, but to make her be that character, Samuel took her to these different rehabs and got the stories. You know what I mean? So I always reference actors to different movies, because one thing about music entertainment itself, nothing is, how I'm gonna say it like my mentor says this. The wheel has already been invented. We're just customizing it. So nothing is new under the sun. Reading this book called Save the Cat by Jake Snyder, and he tells it, and when you hear it, you're gonna be like, that's crazy. Those that have children, the movie Monsters Inc. is the Matrix. So when you watch Monsters Inc., you see the Matrix. It's just flipped.